we get some music for this? I think we need some music. Horror music. Perfect.
Joining me today to share our plans around these topics are three of the leaders here at Twitch. So don't forget that they're sticking around for a Q&A section at the end.
I want to thank everyone who's attending this,
dressed up for
coming to this town hall. It's really appreciated that we have a community that shows up for us to talk to us and give us feedback. When we got started, we were outnumbered, but these days there are 100,000 of you for every one of us.
And part of that is that we care a whole lot. We come from the community, we care about the community, and we want to make sure that they feel heard in all of those instances by a real person. But the other side of that is that we are real people and we are real humans. And sometimes we mess things up and we get them wrong. And we've done that a few times this year.
And of course, there's so many times I wish we did a better job.
I want to say something, but I also don't want to say something.
Sometimes it's just we made a mistake, an error of judgment, or we just didn't know. We made, we made an honest error. Okay. But sometimes I actually think we did something really good, or we built something really cool, and then we screwed some small part of it up, or we dropped the ball communicating about it, and people walked away feeling like we didn't care.
Understatement of the year.
And I feel like that's the
communication at Twitch. What?
That's the part that hurts the most for me. I appreciate everyone's critical feedback as well as their positive feedback, because those complaints are how we know how to keep making Twitch better, because we know it's not done. That when we start rolling something out, it's important we bear in mind the damage it can do when we do something that's even mostly a good idea, but not quite there. And it's obviously even worse if what we do isn't 99% right. As the blast radius of mistakes gets bigger and bigger for Twitch, we are going to be updating our approach and trying to do it in a thoughtful way where we're still running experiments, but where people don't have the negative experience from them. We actually launched an LGBTQIA tag as an experiment to see how does it work to have an identity tag. And we had the intention to learn from that and to quickly iterate into a better solution for identity tags. Obviously, it's taken longer than we would have liked. As we were looking to launch new identity tags like the trans tag, specifically, we ran into two problems. First problem we found is that the usage of the tags can often lead to increased harassment for streamers.
Okay. What's the solution to
that? Especially in vulnerable identity groups. And we wanted to make sure that we'd tried to solve that so people aren't accidentally opting into that kind of harassment. That's not a positive thing for the community or for those streamers. We didn't want to be the arbiters of identity. I don't think, this is actually, I think it's very important to me personally as a value, that it's Twitch, that it's any person at Twitch, it's myself or anyone who should get to tell you which identities are valid, which identities deserve a tag, which
this
identities
sounds like
don't
they're
deserve
not going
tag.
to introduce it, by the way.
That's a decision that has to be up to each individual person. Our discoverability teams have been hard at work doing this. I'm really proud of the plan they put together. I think they've really risen to the challenge. And we're hoping to release this feature this year in 2020.
Okay.
But we've been working with creators before we launch it, and we've been working with the community. And we realized that some of the assumptions we'd made in designing the product weren't good enough. And so we went back to the drawing board and we started redesigning it. And I think we've made a lot of progress. I think the new plan is great. We're going to share more details with you early next year.
I also wanted to just take a quick second to reiterate that you should not play recorded music on your stream unless you own all of the rights in the music.
These are the questions
or
we're looking for
you have
answers
permission
for.
from the necessary rights holder. Yeah, Jeremy, you're in the hot seat now. So let's just kick it right off with admitting that as a streamer, understanding your channel's current risk and standing under DMCA guidelines is at best incredibly complicated. And the tools that Twitch has to help creators in these areas are not good enough.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm
part of a number of communities on Twitch, and I saw firsthand just how devastating it was to lose all of that content on the community and streamers. It's not a recommendation we would have made if there was an option that made more sense in those circumstances. What I can tell you, though, is that we've doubled down on our efforts to help you better navigate copyrights and content on your channel. And our product roadmap prioritizes features that improve the creator experience in the following
That one
areas.
I'm interested in.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, a really great component of Soundtrack is the multi-track audio technology that we built. The music from Soundtrack doesn't transfer over to the clips and VODs, so you can share, the music-free version of your content wherever you want.
Can Twitch pay for site-wide licensing like other sites?
Yeah, so we do pay organizations around the world like ASCAP and BMI in the US. So while we're open to partnering with labels, and our agreements have to reflect the different usage in the underlying rights landscape to reach a fair rate.
This is literally the answer I gave yesterday, by the way.
That said, we are actively speaking to major record labels about potential additional agreements that will be appropriate for the Twitch service. These agreements may take some time to materialize and may never happen at all if we can't reach an agreement that works for everyone.
I'm hearing it too.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and it will come with costs and trade-offs.
We all know that the tools currently available to help manage VODs and clips could definitely use some work. They are not fully sufficient. And I am really excited for you to talk about the tools that you guys are building in this area.
Now those who are assigned the role of editor on your channel can access the clips library so they can help you review and delete clips as needed. But that's not enough.
Clips, editor access to manage
our
clips,
current options for deleting clips are fairly extreme. You can review each clip and delete it indivially or delete all the clips at once.
Is good.
Both options are not ideal.
That's good.
Particularly if you have hundreds, thousands, or hundreds of thousands of clips to review. It can take a really long time. So to fix this, we're going to build functionality that lets you sort and delete clips by date, game, or view count. We expect to roll this out in the second half of the year. I know that sounds like a long time, and I wish we could get this to you sooner. But in order to build this, we have to make some significant updates to our clips infrastructure, which will take some time to complete. If you've deleted the content, you will not get a strike. If you've used Twitch tools to delete your content and it's still viewable and you receive a strike against it, for example, that it's a large job and it needs additional time, or there are other deletion jobs in progress, you will not receive a strike in those cases. It's important to note that this does not apply to content deleted by third-party tools that may exist on Twitch's systems. That's because we don't manage those tools and we cannot verify the accuracy of them.
If you aren't familiar right now, Twitch sends DMCA notifications to creators in an email that contains the information like what content was removed, the content that was in violation, and information about who filed the notification. But honestly, email is not a reliable system and it's not creator friendly at all. The dashboard. So can you share with the community today what we're doing to make it more clear for streamers when they receive a DMCA notification and what their options are after it happens?
To fix this, we're going to build functionality that when you receive the takedown notification, you receive the notification on Twitch as well as in an email. We expect to release this in the first half of 2021. But we also want to make it easier to navigate the entire DMCA process. In 2021, we're going to release a series of updates to enable creators to learn when they've received a DMCA notification, review the content that was subject to that notification, monitor the number of strikes they have on their channel, and even file counter notifications if they believe they wrongly received the DMCA notification. And that'll all be done directly from the creator dashboard.
Multi-track audio Twitch Studio. Get DMCA notifications on Twitch. Use dashboard to review content. Use dashboard to track strikes. Sort and delete clips by date, game, or view count. Use dashboard to file counter notifications. Select all VODs to unpublish. And then right now, that launched today. That's available now, and that's available now. That I actually like. That's actually a good one. Select batches of VODs to unpublish. Select batches, okay.
Just to clarify, new policies are only effective if we can enforce them consistently and fairly. So one of the big investments we've made in this space is we've doubled our safety operations team in 2020, and that's helped reduce the median response time by 96%. And we made a really deliberate choice to give everyone an opportunity to fully understand and digest the policy before we started enforcing it. And so some of those investments I talked about having people with local language and teams around the globe, that really helps here as well in terms of helping with consistency. It means that our teams are in tune with world events and they can understand and identify nuances that can have a really significant impact on meaning in a particular language. All human beings make mistakes, and so we absolutely are committed to trying to minimize those, but we also have an appeals process in place to ensure that if they do happen, that they are fixed. And again, I mentioned earlier, we've broken a separate appeals team out, so we've put more resources into that to make sure that those can be processed quickly.
And that's what the community wants to know, what Twitch is doing to help curb the creation of usernames that are made purely for the purpose of harassing others or streamers or other viewers.
I mean, that's still
Twitch.
good. That's still good.
Yeah, this is a great question, and thank you for people who submitted it.
But nobody asked that question. Well, I mean, people have asked that question, but
so our efforts here fall into two categories.
They do have a system, by the way.
What can we do with technology, and the other is what can we do with humans.
Yep.
So I'll start.
Technology
with the
does
tech.
exist.
From that perspective, we have an offensive username machine learning model that runs on all of our newly proposed usernames. So if you create a new username, we will actually run that through a technology
This is all things that I've already confirmed with you guys. You've already heard this before.
Hateful or harassment names from being created. And we also maintain as part of that a list of slurs and offensive phrases that would be blocked as usernames as well. We don't talk about what they do because the objective of this team is to stay ahead of bad actors. And so I appreciate this can be really frustrating. It's one of those areas where people ask us, like, what specifically are you doing? We don't speak about it because if we do, it actually helps bad actors create new vectors of abuse, because they just look at the playbook that we're creating to stop them from evading detection, and they use that to try and go around it. And so this is one of those areas where, like, we absolutely are investing in solutions to prevent suspended users from returning to Twitch, and we will continue to make those investments. This is critical. We understand how harmful and distressing it can be if these come through.
So anytime that we're making a change to the site or the ad experience, we're starting with some type of customer problem. And what we had heard consistently from streamers is, even if ads seemed interesting and the revenue that could be earned, there's a perception there's a disadvantage. If I run ads and other streamers aren't running ads, I may lose my audience.
You probably won't exist much longer, to be honest.
It also was grounded in an insight and understanding that for the streamers that were running ads, it started with, or many of them were using automated tools, running ads on a timer, basically. So the combination of those two things, informed our solution, where we would automate the ad breaks to level out the ad load across Twitch. For us, it was bring the timer on the platform, put the burden on Twitch. Honestly, we expected that the community would be largely angry at Twitch versus the streamer. What we learned, and we always learn in anytime we make changes, and the feedback we got was the control in our mind was the streamer can choose to run an ad break. If the streamer runs an ad break, the automated mid-rolls won't run. That wasn't enough. Is quite clear and consistent feedback from the streamers to say we need even more controls than that. Even when they use timers, what we heard from them is they're still adjusting the ad running to avoid an ad running, say, in the middle of a boss fight. Nobody wants to get an ad when you're about to down the boss, as an example. So our goal was to get feedback. Our goal was to learn. We did that, and it was quite clear. We heard the feedback. Thank you.
Within 2 days.
That's where we are.
Is the automated mid-roll experiment going to come back?
Automated. Here we go.
The experiment that we ran, as we ran it, is not coming back. The feedback's quite clear. It would not be certainly smart for us to put that back out there, given the feedback we received. But I do want to be clear. We're going to continue to experiment on ways to make the ad experience more consistent across Twitch. We must. We'll talk more about why coming up. But our North Star vision is most ads on Twitch are mid-roll ads run in a streamer-initiated ad break, period, full stop.
At the end of the day, ads are incredibly important to the ecosystem of Twitch. So I'd love for the community.
That's not true. They're not important to the ecosystem of Twitch. They're important to the bottom line of Twitch and making money as a platform.
I mean, it starts with
be honest with the community. Don't bullshit us. We know why you're running ads. Stop bullshitting us.
But not everybody can afford to pay. Not everybody wants to pay on Twitch. So if you think about it from a streamer perspective, ads generate revenue, can be quite good revenue, paid for by brands versus viewers, or brands are paying for the opportunity to reach this awesome audience and community. Ads grow with the channel, grows with Twitch, right? And then, frankly, it allows us to provide the infrastructure, the bandwidth, and services to support the Twitch experience. Like simply said, they pay our bills and keep Twitch free.
Okay, thank you.
Twitch doesn't need ad revenue because we make enough money from our splits from bits and subs. So can you give us more insight to there and tell us what the truth is?
I already did this. They're not profitable yet.
Sure. The data and the truth is that ads scale. Bits and subs in paid products do not scale the same way ads do in terms of scaling. Yep. When I say scale, I'm talking about all kinds of content across different types, from esports to community created content in different countries around the world and different community sizes. So ads scale.
Yep.
You know, we are an independently operated business. We built a high definition, low latency, globally available streaming experience, right? It's amazing. There's nothing else like it in the world as far as I can tell. So operating that, maintaining it, growing it as the community grows has significant operating costs. Community is 5 times more
viewers
likely
are 5 times more likely to stay through a mid-roll than
Now, the immediate question
this is actually valuable insight. That's actually valuable insight.
Said, a 2-minute ad
they
break
need to
with
provide this information.
Ads, does that mean
why are they
that
not telling this? This is very important information.
Even. That's why we created the mid-roll, pre-roll trade, so that new viewers can get into your channel more easily while still maintaining equal or similar amounts of inventory, ad inventory. And then the viewers can, again, immediately see your content.
Like, is there money to be made running ads on Twitch? Because a lot of them aren't doing it and they don't know about those numbers.
Yeah, they absolutely can.
Okay,
and we brought some data here to show, and it's going to vary by the amount of ads in the community size. But
11 to 100.
And one way to think about
4,
that for these size of communities, it's another sub or two, which adds up, right? It's meaningful.
What does this
helps
mean?
Get more equipment for the stream, helps you on your journey to become, a bigger, larger community. So then, if we go into, what I'll call mid-sized, at this point, 101 to 4,000. I know it's a very large range. That's our partners, they're growing partners, communities. Important to understand that oftentimes ad blockers prevent the streamer from getting paid. So the impression's not tracked. The ads more than likely, nearly always
ad
deliver,
blockers
but because we can't track it
the
unfortunately
experience of
impacts
watching
the streamer
content.
and their ability
There's a reason why
earn
people
from
do
that
it.
ad view. So the other thing we've seen recently, been a lot of this on social media. You can.
Nobody has an ad blocker going, haha, Zach, I got your 3 cents of ad money now. That's not why people
results
use ad
in
blockers.
Things like come to watch on Twitch TV.
They do it because it
like,
interrupts
wait a minute, I'm already
the
on
experience.
Twitch TV.
It makes the experience
That's not
of
the expected experience. And in those cases, we suggest you check things you may have installed. We have a published help page that you can learn more. And so when we talk about the future, it's what more controls can we give to streamers, and how can we make advertising more lucrative? How can we help that?
Okay, these are 2 questions that were asked.
Take-home?
These were questions that were asked.
Then when you think about the viewer side of it, it's live content. We don't have timeouts like the NFL does in live sports.
Okay.
We really need to have them not disrupt the content, and that starts with the streamer running ad breaks that works with the content.
Okay.
And then when from the viewer side, we want the ads to be relevant, personalized.
Targeting, yes. Yes, okay. These are all questions that were asked.
And finally,
these are all questions that were asked.
The advertiser. They're the folks that are putting out, the money here to buy advertising on Twitch. And in that case, the ads must be attractive. It must represent their brand. It must be effective. They need to work, right? You want to see engagement. You want to see brand lift. That's the type of advertising that Twitch is often selling. So by balancing the needs of these 3 customers, streamer first, viewers, and advertisers, that will result in more advertisers spending on Twitch, spending and running more campaigns, which results in streamers earning more money. And I think that most streamers I've talked to, that's certainly always a positive. Teams been working on this for a while. We're iterating with some amount of streamers now, which is really a much better on Twitch offering.
So this is just an automated system.
Manage your ad breaks. So it's called Ad Manager. And the other thing that it's not there now, but what is coming is to help connect. If I do this ad running behavior.
And you also mentioned there were 3 bullet points you mentioned. One was more control. One was less interrupted. I think something everyone can agree on is that if ads are going to run, we don't want it to disrupt the viewer experience. So how are we thinking about making ads less interruptive going into the future?
Yeah, one thing, it's important to understand that advertisers are paying to interrupt. So we want to make sure that's well understood. Video advertising is the core of what we do. It is interruptive. The only way to not interrupt the content is for it to be a streamer-initiated ad break where it's woven into the content, right? But what we're also saying is we don't, what I suggested earlier about the ad load that we still feel is quite competitive and a good user experience within live content, we want to add to that to give streamers more options. It may look something like what's suggested here. You'll hear us refer to this as a squeeze back format. This basically brings the video player back about 70% of its original size for some amount of time, gets the message out.
Yeah.
The audio and video remain, present, doesn't interrupt the stream. Much of this, both the alternative squeezeback type.
So this is where the regular content would
manager,
be. There's your ad.
We're looking at spring, March, April timeframe in 21.
And then it squeezes back in.
I think that we're considering all of these types of formats and all of these experiments and all of these things that we're building. But why don't we launch skippable ads? Why is that not something that we're talking about today?
Ooh, good question.
We're working on many new formats. The thing that goes often with skippable ads is 6-second ads in terms of a shorter ad format. The skippable ad economics aren't great. We're in terms of what it will be in terms of revenue to the streamer.
And the community wanted to know, has Twitch considered creating something along the lines of Twitch Turbo for creators?
That was a question.
And pay a monthly subscription to keep
that was a
ads
question.
off of their channel.
We're done here.
All good. So yeah, it's commonly seen. The thing to understand is that there's two parts to this answer as to why it's unlikely. I rarely close the door completely to any ideas, but it's unlikely because what we're selling to advertisers is reach and frequency into a really valuable audience and an amazing community.
Why aren't creators able to choose the ads or specifically the advertisers to tailor that content specifically to their stream?
Yeah, this is one where it's consistent feedback, and we know streamers would love to be able to at least express preferences. I would prefer to see ads from these type of advertisers. Or
yes, we 100% should have this.
Can often work well with ongoing sponsorships or other opportunities. So we understand that with a balance we're trying to strike here. It goes back to my earlier answer, which is, we're again selling reach into an audience. So to the extent we're creating limitations on that reach and inventory by allowing streamers, for example, to blacklist, it impacts the rest of the community. So expect us to do more on the preference side so that I can say, I prefer not to see ads from fast food companies or whatever category of advertiser you prefer not to see. And then we will take those preferences into account when we allocate and distribute and deliver the ads to the community. That's how we're thinking about it. There's nothing immediate as certain as, spring, like we've mentioned the other things, but we're very aware that streamers would love to have the ability to express a preference.
We do have a product for viewers called Twitch Turbo. And so the question here was, will Twitch Turbo continue to keep me from seeing ads when I'm viewing on Twitch?
There are no changes to Twitch Turbo. It's still the same value proposition in terms of removing ads and the same price point it's been. We have plans to revisit it, what it is and what it provides, but there's nothing specific I'm ready to share today. And nothing is changing relative to Twitch Turbo's offer.
That means that's gone, by the way. I'm telling you that right now.
Jeremy, you
Twitch
answered
Turbo
this question already.
Somebody else needed a question, yeah.
It may be
Kept it together
2022,
until just
2023,
now.
but it's gone.
It's
Tell you
fine.
that right now.
We're
That's
doing
what that
this
says
live,
to me.
Chat. Have some
That's
patience
corporate
with me.
speak
The next
for.
question actually is for Sara. There's a newer word going around Twitch, which is the word simp. And it's a phrase that the community can still use and make emotes for currently. But when the new policy goes into effect, what are we thinking about that term or that word?
Yeah, great question. So the new policy does include guidelines that say making any derogatory statements about another person's perceived sexual practices, and that does include negatively targeting another person with sexually focused terms. So
you hear that,
using
simps,
terms like simp, incel, or virgin is an insult. To negatively
incel?
refer to another person's sexual activity is not allowed under this new policy.
Wow.
And in addition to the policy change, we're also proactively denying emotes that include the term simp, and we'll remove them when reported, and we'll keep doing that once the policy changes.
They want to know who gave the okay to tweet to the majority of the user base that muting in-game audio was the best way to protect yourself from DMCA and that was safe. How could something so tone deaf make its way down the pipeline?
This is an area we absolutely missed the mark. This is just an apology. So I'll give you some context on how it ended up happening. We knew that there would be a lot of community questions. It's a really complex area to understand. In addition to our social team, we actually recruited a bunch of people from across Twitch, so Twitch staff members, to help field those questions and answer them as quickly as possible. A lot of this was on Twitter, and we gave them the blog post as guidance. So I was like, if it says it in the blog post, then you can reply to the person who may not have like necessarily read all of the nuance of the blog post and use that as the menu of information you can share.
That's how they did this?
For this question specifically about muting in-game audio, that was in the information, but
the blame
when
to staff.
the reply was made and when the tweet went out,
we had a bunch of people, we got them on the Twitter account, and
it didn't include all the other options that we had included in the blog. So it was a classic example if you take a piece of information out of context and it no longer actually is useful.
But one of the things that we didn't explicitly talk about is what Twitch is doing in the case of aggressive stalkers and the threats that streamers or viewers may receive from those people. And they wanted to know if someone can receive an enforcement for something along those lines that happens off of Twitch.
Yeah, so this is an area we take any report of stalking or violent threat incredibly seriously. We have a dedicated team that we apply against this kind of report, and we do everything we possibly can to support streamers. We appreciate how distressing this can be. And so first of all, I would just like to say to the community, if you are being harassed or threatened on Twitch, or you know someone who is being harassed or threatened, please file a report, because if you are in immediate danger, please reach out to your local law enforcement. They are the best suited group to help right away. And so, you know, in the situation where you feel like you're under immediate danger, that is the right channel to engage with as your local law enforcement team.
How is Twitch going to decide which uses of things like the N-word and the F-word are okay?
Yeah, this is a great question. I'm glad that people have asked for clarification on this. So again, this is one of the areas, I've referenced these areas a couple of times, where we don't actually release all of the information we operate on because it would give bad actors just a roadmap to abuse the community. Having said that, this particular question has come up a couple of times, and so I do want to address the N-word specifically because I know that creates a lot of confusion. And so there are some slurs like the N-word which have a history of reclamation and colloquial use that is used to indicate belonging to a certain group or a certain community. In the course of developing the hateful conduct policy, we consulted with a really broad range of diversity and inclusivity academics on this topic specifically. And after really deep consideration, we ultimately decided to allow the use of some terms, including the N-word, that may otherwise be viewed as slurs, specifically in order to avoid alienating or limiting the expression of communities on Twitch. I do want to emphasize, however, that we prohibit slurs when used in an explicitly hateful or targeted manner. There's no exception to that. And we appreciate this isn't a perfect solution, but we do think that it is the best option to ensure that Twitch is truly an inclusive and safe space for all communities.
What has Twitch done to follow through with Black people being more included throughout everything that Twitch does?
Past few months, we've had a whole range of different groups across Twitch working on a number of different initiatives. And so it's everything from our recruiting teams and our people teams thinking about how do we recruit and increase diversity inside the company? How do we help develop people from diverse communities that work at Twitch and ensure that our leadership is representative of our broader community? And then we are also working, our marketing team and our partnerships teams are working to increase representation of Black creators, both on the front page and then in our social and marketing materials to ensure that they're reflected in the community. Okay. And these are just a few of a whole range of initiatives that we have. We have a lot of things in the pipeline for 2021. We're really excited to share them with you all.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great week.
Zach. What is wrong with you? That's twice my number. Hell yeah. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click like, click subscribe up there, and then watch this video. What else you got to do? You're on YouTube anyways. You might as well watch something else. It's right there.